Trent McDuffie is one of the youngest and best cornerbacks in the NFL. The Chiefs have decisions to make when it comes to his future, as well as a number of other players in the current situation with the young contracts that Kansas City has among them. But you guys know tonight is the Q&A. We are going to start off today a little bit differently. Ryan's not here. He's got some flight issues that got bumped back, things like that. But I will be answering all of your questions for sure. This is RGR Football, guys. My name is Daniel Harms. I'm a senior film analyst here, and every single week I do film reviews on Wednesdays. If you don't know, if you're new to the channel, please hit that sub button and then let us walk through all of these Q&As together. We've got a couple of members in here. All right. Nice to see Steve. Nice to see everyone in here as well. I apologize for not being here last week. You know, it's summertime, at least closing in on summertime. We've all got things that we have to do, right? And sometimes those are, hi, yes, go on. Go get ready for bed. Yeah, just like that. Just like that. Sometimes, you know, the kids get in the way and we all got to take our time back. But talking about the contracts, I will get to your guys' questions, I promise, about that. I forgot to put this up because it's new and exciting. What's going on, Minotaur? Nice to see you, Joseph. Doctor, nice to see you being in here. Again, guys, I know everyone's going to talk about priorities versus Trey Smith, Trent McDuffie, George Karlaftis, but realistically speaking, let's look at where the Chiefs are in terms of the cap among the NFL teams. They are currently 29th with $10,748,284 in what they have available in their current cap. With the Trey Smith extension, you can always help yourselves out with that. They're currently on, you know, trying to pay Trey Smith $23+ million for this season, which you can, again, help yourself out if you go and get him a contract extension and backload it like the Chiefs typically do. So Trey Smith is the number one priority right now. The reason being because Trey Smith has a 5th-year option. So does George Karlaftis. Those are going to be put on the back burner until the Trey Smith contract gets done. End of story. So we can talk a little bit about what that actually means, because the Chiefs have until July 15th to get a contract done. It's not very much time from now until then to be able to get that contract done, especially considering the language in which we kind of left off, right? Before the tag was applied to Trey Smith, everything felt like hunky-dory. That looked like they were having a good time. And then all of a sudden, after the tag was signed, it was, oh, you know, we would love to be able to get a contract extension done with him, as these things typically do. So we know how the Chiefs typically go along with this. We saw it with Chris Jones. It might take a while. It might not be this year where they get a contract extension done with him. So all things considered, we have to hope that by July 15th, they do get that contract done, because not only are we talking about the ifs, ands, or buts about the whole Joe Thuney situation, if that ends up, right, ifs are almost non-existent, but if they were to have brought him in instead and let go of Trey Smith, what would it look like? And if you have to let both of them go because you can't get a contract done, things look worse, especially when we see the numbers on the Joe Thuney contract. So all in all, it's a conundrum because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if Trey Smith is going to get extended by Kansas City. We all hope so, because again, he is young. I know that he's a good player, and we've seen guys like Robert Hunt get tons and tons of money. But at the end of the day, this is going to be what ends up happening, and how we kind of see this with every young up-and-coming player, you know, rising stars among teams in the NFL. Who's going to blink first? Sometimes the teams do. Sometimes they don't. So I want to hear what you guys want to pay Trey Smith. So in the comments, either in the video here or below, I want to hear what you guys think what the actual number is going to end up being for Trey Smith. But ignore the number from the franchise tag. What do you think AAV he actually ends up getting? What's going on, Brenda? Nice to see you. Knight, welcome in. Jedi, what up, Kingdom? Nice to see everyone here. All right, let me get some of these questions. And again, if you guys are new to the channel, please put question marks before your questions so that we can pick them out of the chat a little bit easier. It makes things a lot better for the flow of the Q&As. But again, I do expect Trey Smith to get extended at some point. I'm just hoping it's not up until the deadline that we always see putting in place. So, all right. And you're right, Jedi. We got 3 months until a new season. Only a month and a half until training camp. Actually, probably a little bit less than that. But who's counting the days, right? Who's counting the days? All right. PM15 the GOAT got in here first, asked the first question. Do you see Rice and Worthy like last year, St. Brown and Jamison Williams? And could they match their production? So, Jamison Williams is an interesting predicament because he was a more raw route runner than Xavier Worthy was coming out. A little bit bigger too, and they used him a lot of over routes over the middle of the field, like dig routes. Still a deep threat. They used him in a lot of the same ways with getting the ball in his hands early. But Jamison Williams took on more of like what we've seen from the Tim Patricks and Josh Reynolds a little bit from Detroit, where he kind of pseudo played that big receiver role for them coming up over the middle of the field. I do think you can use them in a lot of the same ways, specifically because Rashee Rice is one of the best zone threats in the NFL. Last year it was nearly 90% win percentage against zone coverage. We saw that very early, and that's one of the reasons I was so, obviously excited about what he could be and why I think he's going to be the heir apparent to Travis Kelce. Why we need to stop hoping it's going to be a tight end. It's going to be Rashee Rice. He's the next guy that's going to exploit zone defenses. That's who this is, and we've seen that already before he got hurt. So that was what we saw, and I really do think that's going to be that. But really, at the end of the day, this comes down to the next step for Xavier Worthy. And you guys are going to see my film review, my film review on Wednesday about Xavier Worthy. I'm going to actually get into every single snap that he played against press man coverage. Okay. I go all through it. I went all through that today. I'm going to go through some of his snaps from the postseason. We're going to talk a little bit about that and what the next step is for Xavier Worthy and how he needs to be utilized in the offense. But I think that Xavier Worthy can have a better year than Jamison Williams did, and they could have, a little bit tick better in production than those players did. So I'm very excited to see what they look like in year two, specifically Xavier. Obviously, technically it's year two for Rashee, so it's like year 1.5 because he only got that extra time and then he got hurt. So I'm very excited about the prospect of them getting that much better. So thank you very much for that question. And I do think, again, you guys tune in to Wednesday when we do the film review on Xavier Worthy, because it's going to be very insightful, as usually most of them are. Hopefully learn a thing or two, and we get a couple extra subs out of it. You guys, we've actually already passed 31,000 subs on the channel, so thank you all very much for doing that, for being here, and becoming members like good old Jeremy right here, who gave me my title of Senior Film Analyst, and I can't thank you enough for that. Cornerback or left tackle, which did Casey shore up better? Both feature adding a vet and drafting a rookie. So very clearly to me, the veteran improvement was at corner. It's not like I don't like Jalen Moore. I think Jalen Moore is just a better right tackle than he is left tackle. So I'm just going to be a little lukewarm on that at left. If he starts there, if he does, good for them, good for him. Hopefully he can play well. That's all we're hoping for, is that he can play well and show well. The veteran, the rookie, I'm still a big fan of Noah Williams. I think Noah Williams is a fantastic player. I probably would have been comfortable taking him in the second round. That's how good I think he actually is going to be. But Josh Simmons, again, was a top 10 player in this draft for me. So I think you can almost level it out, but both of them, they shored up fantastically. I think for right away improvement, it's going to be corner. Over the long haul, it's probably going to be left tackle, because I think that Josh Simmons is just that good of a player, and the system in Kansas City helps elevate their corners as well. So I do think that Noah is going to be a very, very good man cover corner. He's going to be able to play zone, but I do think that the system in Kansas City does a bit more to help the secondary members, given what we've seen with Josh Williams, as well as Jalen Watson and Chamar Connor, even, Rashad Fenton, all the guys before them too. So Noah Williams is going to be a really good player for the Chiefs, but I think that at the end of the day, in the future, it's going to be at left tackle where we're going to see that shoring up actually be utilized. So thank you very much, Jeremy. Appreciate you being here. You guys, you want to become members, you join right here. There should be a button down here, join. You can always do that. Be those rookies and above. Get into the Discord. If you combine your YouTube account believe with your email, you can email, I believe it's rgrpodcasts@gmail.com, and combine your accounts and email that. You'll be able to get into the Discord where tons of people are in there right now. Again, if you guys ever want to get a hold of me on the Discord, you have to at me specifically, because for whatever reason, notifications don't really work on my Discord. It's not the best user-friendly system, but lots of very fun people as we get closer and closer to the NFL season. We always have great conversations in there, especially when it comes to game weeks and in those specific chats. So we'd appreciate all you being in there. Thank you very much, Steve, for being here. How are you doing this evening? How do we develop a dependable rushing attack and a running back passing game to help balance the offense? It's a great question. It's hard to really dig into what the running back system in and of itself is, because Andy Reid does a really nice job of putting them in positions that maximize what they can do. Unfortunately, injuries play a big role in what the Chiefs were unable to do last year. Like when Kareem Hunt is the only guy that can functionally operate your run game, it doesn't help create a lot of big plays and take pressure off the offense, right? It doesn't, off of Patrick Mahomes specifically. But Andy Reid already has a good run game. He's just been unable to access it. Isaiah Pacheco has been the best running back on their roster for essentially 3 years. No offense to Isaiah, but he's not the ideal running back to have in Andy Reid's scheme. I don't know if Brashard Smith's going to eventually be that. I think that the style of back that he is lends itself best to that role in the wide zone, in the outside zone, the cutback lanes that are naturally created. I do think that that's something that he does very well and that can be better at, but he does need to get better at pass protection. That's just at the end of the day, that's what's going to prevent him from getting on the field all the time. And at the same time, it's kind of having to be willing to draft a running back a bit earlier in the draft. I know they got value on Isaiah Pacheco. I still think they got value on Brashard Smith, but you want running backs that have pedigree, that have the ability to do everything. That's why this last draft would have been a good opportunity to draft the running back on day 2. And I know they went after Omar Norman Lott as well as Ashton Gelati and then Noel Williams. One of those picks absolutely could have been a running back. And it probably would have helped out the run game this season specifically. But at the end of the day, they have to maximize both things. They have to get the offensive line on track to be able to run the football. Some of that is the want to. And again, they play more of a finesse style with the outside zone. So hopefully we can see more of that come back this year. But what Andy Reid needs to really do is use more duo. If you look at the Los Angeles Rams offense, when Sean McVay was using the outside zone a ton, when he went into more of this power type of offense. And right now, duo, because of the way that 2 high safeties are really coming back and giving offensive lines more options to run duo, that is just getting as many double teams along the offensive line at once as you can, right? That's what duo is. It's not inside zone. A lot of times you see inside zone where you find double teams to the second level. Duo is just taking as many possible combinations of your offensive line and getting double teams everywhere, even if that's tight end, tackle, guard center, as many as you can fit, and then finding ways into the second level with your running backs and finding those mismatches. So I think he should mix more of that in there, but unfortunately Andy Reid just doesn't use duo. So right now it's the premier run scheme, run play in the NFL, and Andy Reid's kind of just not accessing it, which is a little bit of a problem. But we have seen him go to more counters as well as single back power with Isaiah Pacheco. So he will adapt to it from time to time, but I think that they just, at the end of the day, it comes down to kind of everything. Josh Simmons, when he eventually takes over at left tackle, will be a very good run blocker. And I believe Jalen Moore on the right side, if he takes over at right tackle, which has been kind of my tinfoil hat theory before they drafted Josh Simmons, and it might actually come to fruition, which would be pretty cool. I think that's the best combination of your offensive line, not just for pass protection, but for run blocking too. So a lot of these things have to fall into place. But at the end of the day, this season, they kind of have to have Isaiah Pacheco healthy, Kareem Hunt, either Elijah Mitchell or Brashard Smith to really round it out. But putting everyone in the right positions to be successful. I think hopefully they can do that this year as long as everybody stays healthy. Thank you very much, Steve. We got a super chat here from Carson. And guys, any and all super chats will always be answered on every single Q&A. Thank you guys for your time, your money. It's very much appreciated, the support that you consistently give us. So thank you, Carson, for your $4.99. Have you heard anything about Noah Williams and OTAs? Curious on how he's doing. Yeah. He's gotten at least, I know, one interception. He's playing well. This is again, it's learning a new system. It's one of the most complex defenses in football. That's one of the reasons why Steve Spagnuolo typically waits until the bye week to start implementing the defense the way that he wants. Every year we see the Chiefs defense get better after the bye. He uses those games as information, right? He collects a lot of information. He puts players in different positions, finds more information about these players, whether it's Jaden Hicks going back to Chamari Connor the year before, Chris Wallace last year, all of those things. It takes a lot to understand where you need to be, how you're going to support that side of the defense. And that's one of the reasons that Spags wants very smart individuals at linebacker. Nick Bolton. You've got Drew Tranquil. I think Leo Chanel is an underratedly intelligent football player. And Jeffrey Bassa, coming in from Oregon, is a very smart football player as well. Played the green dot. So he's going to be implemented in there as well. But there's so many different complex. You also have to be able to switch from man to zone at any given time. A lot of defenses, they have like things that they're really good at, whether it's man or zone. And Steve Spagnuolo's defense requires you to be good at both. You have to. And the biggest reason is because we go back to the Super Bowl against the 49ers. We go back to seeing that. And we saw how they were being eaten alive by Brock Purdy against zone. So they switched it up and they played man and they shut them down. That's how you have to be able to play in this defense. So Noah Williams is a very good man coverage corner. He's going to have to learn a little bit more from the zone specifics. And again, they're changing things along the defense as well. Like they're going to have there's no more Justin Reed. We're going to have to see a little bit more from the guys in the back end. If you can have some of that trust with a Mike Edwards, as well as Jaden Hicks, second-year player, and then Brian Cook, you have to be able to trust top down. So I'm excited to see what he does. But again, it's OTAs. Okay. So we want to take some information that we can, but not everything, right? The best use of this information will be at training camp as well, once the pads come on, and we'll see how he's implemented into the defense. But all that I have heard are good things. Nothing bad from Noah Williams at all into these OTAs. But thank you for the support very, very much. Amy Joan, thank you very much for becoming a member. We definitely appreciate it. And thank you for being here. And again, if you're new, please ask questions, whatever you got. I will do my best to answer it. Unless it's salary cap related for the most part. That is really not my area of expertise. But thank you very much for becoming a member here at Rogue Nation on RGR. Steven, what do you think about playing Josh in his rookie season? Don't you think it would be wiser to slowly let him recover, even if he shows that he can play? This has been the back and forth situation, I think, for a lot of people. The want to get the best player out there, as well as understanding the physical limitations of the patella injury, right? We know that there's not very many people that come back and then are just able to be at that level, right? I guess the biggest thing that we can say right now is that everybody is surprised with the way that he's been doing it, right? He's been getting through his recovery, getting onto the field. And the fact that he was on the field during team drills at OTA last week is a very good sign. Do I think the Chiefs are going to go ahead and just push forward with him and just get him out there as fast as possible? Probably not. But at the end of the day, if he comes out into training camp into the first couple of practices where there are no pads and he's just not physically limited by any stretch, see how he does in team drills when he get the pads on. That's going to be the big qualifier for me specifically, and the team, I think, as well. How does he do in that first padded practice? And more specifically, the second one. How are you feeling after finally getting hit for the first time since your injury? All of this can be useful for his conditioning and getting back into physical shape. But at the end of the day, this is going to be important for how he handles getting hit. That's what this all comes down to. So that second practice, how he recovers, how his body feels after that, will be the biggest indicator whether he's ready or not. I again would play it slow. You don't have to force him onto the field, especially if Jalen Moore is playing well in training camp and he's doing well. Okay, you have that kind of buffer zone, right? So, but if Josh Simmons just comes in and he shows zero signs of the injury, of anything, and he's just dominantly the better player at left tackle, you play him. You play him, and you just kind of live with it. You see what happens. And then if Jalen Moore is just playing better than Juwan Taylor, I think you just play him at right tackle. And I think that's your best option. I really do. Appreciate the question, Steven. Oh, you guys, I don't know if I told you yet. This Sprite and tea is like delicious. It's my favorite drink right now. It's the best. Oh. All right, Michael. Thank you for the question, man. How long before before Royals takes over Juju snaps? Whew, I'm a little biased in the situation, to be very honest with you. I would say he's over Juju right now, but that's just because I'm overly optimistic about what he'll do. At the end of the day, after the bye week, I think after the bye week, if he continues to excel in the offense, the only reason that Juju will play him and Hollywood Brown honestly will play over him and play more snaps is because of the trust factor. Okay. Right now, Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and Juju Smith-Schuster at the wide receiver position will have more trust in the offense than Jalen Royals, and that's okay. That's perfectly okay. He's more talented than both of them. He can do more things right now, but knowing where you have to be on the field, as we have known, this lies in the details, really. Xavier Worthy, in his press conference during OTAs, said last year was all about getting to know what Patrick likes. The first year, Xavier was thrust into playing a lot more than they needed him to, and essentially than they wanted him to because of the injuries. I think he should have been learning on the job no matter what. And I think a lot of these young players at this level should have to just play. They've all been doing this their entire lives. Just get the young guys out there, these wide receivers, specifically the wide receivers. And the reason I say that is because they are learning so much more at an advanced young age with 7-on-7 camps and a ton of wide receiver. There are so many specialized wide receiver coaches out there with 7-on-7s that can develop these players very, very young, that they're already getting into in the college and into the league, knowing a lot of what they need to succeed, specifically about their own skill set. It's about learning the offense. Andy Reid is very just controlling with wide receivers, in my opinion. So I would love to see them get him on the field a lot earlier. But the trust factor for Juju as well as Hollywood Brown are what's going to keep him off the field early. Now, next year, it will be Xavier, Rashee, and Juju, and the Royals. Those are going to be your three wide receivers on the field almost at all times. Those young players are going to be fantastic, and I'm very excited about what's going to happen there. But just watch early in the season what they use him with, because there's so many players right now at wide receiver that they can throw out there that it's going to be interesting to see how they're used. But I would say, unbiasedly, I don't think he's going to take over Juju's snaps until after the bye. That's what I would say. Please don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you very much, Doctor, for for reminding me to tell everyone about that. It really helps us out, guys. Gets us into the algorithm, right? Comment on the video afterward, have more conversations, come back, hit the like, and then continue to participate in these. Gets us out in the algorithm. And again, come back on Wednesday. Tuesday, if Ryan has some content for you guys tomorrow, but Wednesday, if you guys want to see the Xavier Worthy breakdown, it's going to be a lot of fun. But please take 2 seconds really quickly, hit that like button. It absolutely helps us out every single show. Another one here from Michael. UDFA tight end going to take snaps from Gray if he makes the 53. I don't know if he'll take him from Gray. I think that he'll just be the third tight end. That's how I feel about it. I honestly, I've seen it floating on around there. If Bob Tonyan makes this roster over Jake Briningstool, I'll lose it. I'll lose my mind. It makes zero sense. Bob Tonyan hasn't played a down in the league for years, and he was not good then. He wasn't good the last time he stepped on an NFL field. Jake Briningstool is just a way better route runner than anyone not named Travis Kelce at the tight end position on this roster. There's just no question about it in my mind. But Gray's your number 2 tight end. He's not going to be taking snaps from him. He'll be coming in maybe to spell Travis in 12 personnel sets. I think that's the best situation you could honestly put him in. You keep Noah Gray on the field, but in those 12 personnel sets where you need to give Travis a break, you bring Jake Briningstool in. That's how I feel that he should be deployed. And again, if Bob Tonyan makes this roster, I don't know what I'll do. I don't know. Maybe as the 4, but not the 3. Oh, good Lord. Steven, would you rather the Pistons trade for Giannis or the Chiefs trade for a stud offensive lineman? Pistons trade for Giannis because I think the Chiefs are in a pretty good position with their offensive line right now. I'm very excited about what the future holds there. I think that they have finally addressed the depth concerns because they have options now at tackle with injury. They have options at guard with injury. They have options at center with injury. They actually have gone out and helped themselves at the offensive line more than I think they have in almost any previous offseason. So got to be the Pistons trading for Giannis because they desperately need that guy. and they would win. I think they'd win the championship if they got Giannis because Cade Giannis, and you got, I can see his face. The guy that got injured. My gosh, I'm going to lose my Pistons fan card. I got to do this now. Appreciate you, Steven. You made me do this. I've got even a young Asura Thompson. It's Jaden Ivey. I knew it was a Jaden. Jaden Ivey coming back. You'll have, granted, I don't know who would be a part of the trade, right? So you might think maybe Asura Thompson, maybe Jalen Duran would be as well. But these are really, really good young players in Detroit. I'd be upset about that. Maybe you can find a way to get Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway Jr. over to Milwaukee for that if you want to take on a lot of that contract from Giannis. But either way, that's how I feel about that. Appreciate you, Steven. Bradley, nice to see you, man. What's going on? So, Dan, how do you feel about the Chiefs' offense, and what do they need to do to make strides this season? Okay, I'm going to tell you guys the same thing that I've been telling you for a year. I love the offense. I love Patrick Mahomes. I love everything they do, except Andy Reid's inability to allow Patrick to throw deep against 2 high safeties. Every other offense in the NFL does it, and they access it because they are unafraid to throw the ball down the seams. This offense doesn't attack down the seams. They attack the middle of the field and then the outside. Out routes, drag routes, corner routes, deep routes. They don't attack the seams. They don't do it enough. They don't use slants enough. They don't use dig routes enough. They don't access the parts of the field that they desperately need to against 2 high safeties. They need to do it this year. They have to let Patrick live in the world where these young quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, are coming in and throwing down the seams against 2 high safeties. You have to make defenses afraid that you'll actually do it because that will get safeties to trigger. You want to throw it deep down the sideline? Fine. Get a safety to trigger on a dig route and then throw it down the field. They have to find a way to attack and stress defenses in the seam areas of the football field, something that they haven't ever really done. So I wish that they would, but if they can legitimately get a running game that's respectable and forces defense to actually think twice, which I think they can get back to, at least an average running game, that's all they really need to make strides back to where they were 2 years ago to win a Super Bowl. That's really all I see for me. Another one here for me, Bradley. Did you hear about Jermaine Pratt got released and Alexander, the cornerback from the Packers? And if we had the cash, what player would you choose? Neither of them. Both of them can sit on the free agent list. I don't need any of them on this team. Jermaine Pratt has no spot on the roster as a linebacker, and Jair Alexander was not good any of the last couple of years. The system in Green Bay made him look better. He's been toast for a couple of years now. Chiefs got better with Christian Fulton and no Williams there. So realistically, I don't have any want for either of those players in Kansas City. FLDB member for 48 months. 4 years. 4 years. Well, thank you very much for the support. 4 years. Incredible. That's awesome, man. Congratulations and thank you very, very much. So appreciate that. Oh, man, that's crazy. 4 years. Bradley, once again here. I feel the Chiefs dynasty is better than the Patriots dynasty because of what they've done, and they got 5 out of 6 Super Bowl appearances, and it's pretty ridiculous to match. So I don't think they've gotten better yet. It's only because the sustainability. The Patriots had the sustainability. I'm talking about 20 years. 20 years. Like 2 decades. Okay. It's hard to I respect what they did, what Bill Belichick, Tom Brady did for that long period of time. It's not easy to even do what the Chiefs have done. Like, it's incredible enough that they were able to do this. 5 out of 6 Super Bowls. 5 out of 6. That's crazy. But what the Patriots did was more impressive. And it's been more impressive until Patrick and Andy get to that point. It's going to be chasing that because they did it first. And as much as I'd love to say that what they've done is more impressive, statistically speaking, 3 wins out of 5 is not as good. It's the same as Tom Brady did in his first 5. So it's the longevity part, right? This is already a historic football team. There's no question about that. None in my mind. It's just more impressive? Not yet. I think it can get there. I absolutely think it can. But Travis Kelce is going to be the first big domino. Big domino. Tyreek Hill was, second big domino. Tyreek Hill was the first. He was the first big domino. They got through that, won 2 Super Bowls, right? Went to a third. When Travis Kelce retires, that will be the next big domino. I know Andy Reid says that he loves coaching this team, and I think he's going to coach for a long time still. But if he doesn't, okay, if he retires before Patrick's done, that will be another hurdle. So there's still some dominoes that have to fall for this to get to that level of impressive for me, but it's easily there, right? It's going to be one of the best football teams of all time. It already is. So I understand the sentiment there, Bradley. Jedi, what's going on? Do you think Wiley will make the 53 man this year? And do you think he would get picked up by another team if he doesn't make the 53? No and no. He has pretty much literally done nothing in the NFL. He got hurt. He hasn't even been cleared to practice yet. He's not doing anything. I don't think he's going to make the roster. I don't think he's going to be on anyone else's roster. I think if anything, he'll get put on the PUP list and he'll be done the rest of the year. I don't know what's going to happen. And that's nothing against him. I just don't know what is going on. And that's because I'm not in the building. I'm not in there with these guys. And unfortunately, we don't have credentials here at RGR Football as much as I think we should. But anyway, I have to move to Ohio in a couple of months now anyway. So it's not like I can come in and do training camp and do all that fun stuff that they do. So as of now, with with little information that I currently have, I would say no. I don't believe he's going to make the roster. Night. Almost 4 years, man. Almost 4 years, man. Appreciate that so much, man. You guys showing some love. I love to see that in here tonight. It's wild. It's wild to think about because I never again would have thought that this would be my life. It would be my job. Like, you guys have done nothing but help me grow, help me understand how better to treat solo Q&As, doing things on my own. It was definitely a scary thought at first, but it's gotten so much better, and you guys definitely make it easier when You ask great questions when you're here every single Q&A, and you guys support us the way that you do. So thank you for being here tonight, and hopefully we'll see you for a lot more, because I don't think we're going anywhere. So appreciate you. Steven, aren't we putting all of our eggs on the Jaden Hicks basket? Is he that good, or will it be a safety rotation? Yeah, that's the thing, right? It is. It's tough to do that. And I have a little bit of a bias because I was so high on him. I had him in the second round last year, um, as a player, and I think that he can be that. We have to, I think, remember that he's not a free safety. Like, that's not a role he plays. It wasn't ever a role that he functioned properly. He is going to replace Justin Reed. That is the vision that the Chiefs had for him. There are probably going to be some growing pains still. Absolutely. Second year in the defense, he's going to get more comfortable, but he'll have more responsibilities than he had last year. Like, that's ideally what you want, is just see these young guys, how they did in their first year. I believe Seth Kaiser just did a report on Jaden Hicks, so you guys can go check that out over on his Substack. But you want these young guys to be put in a position. There's a reason that they were comfortable enough to let go of Justin Reed, because of Jaden Hicks. Like, that's how it is. So you're still going to see the same types of rotations. You're going to see some 3 safety sets. You're going to see every now and then Drew Tranquil go play safety. That's just because Steve Spagnuolo loves to do that stuff. Like, that's his thing. But yeah, I think that he's very comfortable with what Jaden Hicks provides. And there's a realistic situation where he's better than Justin Reed. I think he can be better than Justin Reed. And that's not a slight to Justin Reed. None at all. He was a fantastic player in this defense. Very happy with the time we got with him. But all in all, definitely some things that can happen. All right, we got some more things here. All right, Michael, got another question from me here, man. What's up with coach talk on Noah Williams coming along slowly? It's OTAs. OTAs, you don't get the full playbook. Again, we have to remember these guys are currently getting spoon-fed. Introductions into the offense. Jaden Royals is getting spoon-fed the offense. Wow, they're reading something in there. No, Williams already has a pick. Like, we have to remember that these OTAs they're trying to find out how best to utilize these players. And as little information that we have on what they're currently doing, because OTAs still are pretty, on the Chiefs side specifically, still pretty closed. I know media gets some access, but they don't get a ton of access like other teams do. So we have little bits and pieces here. Like, it's hard to always pick everything up, right? It's hard to do that. But at the end of the day, I do think that when training camp comes around, when they get more into what they're going to be asked to do, and then before the bye, I want you just to kind of see how he's being used and how he's used after the bye, right? That's the thing here with Spags specifically. It's the before and the after stuff. So I got to get some questions here, you guys. Oh, Kevin, I'm going to answer this right now. Don't even try. Don't even try, Kevin. It's not happening. Never happen. Oof. I'm probably going to go see some games, especially if the Chiefs play over there, but I'm never, ever. Can't believe you'd even bring that up, Kevin. How dare you? Jeez. All right. I'm going to start to speed up here, you guys. You guys start to ask some more questions. I love it. Maestro, what is the next evolution of our defense? We've had a top 5 defense for a couple of years. What do you think is the next step? That's actually a really good question, because I don't actually know the answer to that question. It's something that we haven't actually seen. We didn't see the shift from 2 years ago to become a top 5 defense. We didn't know it was going to happen, right? We didn't actually know what would end up taking place there. We know Chris Jones is the focal point of the pass rush. Ideally, it's to get better. I think this year the corners are going to be better than they were last year, and possibly even the year before. Maybe not the year before. We'll take a step, right? L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie were the culmination of the defense being that good, right? So what we can, I think, reasonably expect is that the corners will be better this year than they were last year. Ideally, you'd love to see Jeffrey Bassa come in and impact the passing defense as a rookie. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but it's hard to really know what he's going to be asked to do. So at the end of the day, I think that the next step, maybe the next evolution, is playing complementary defense, right? In the first iteration, it was the pass rush was really, really good. The secondary wasn't very good. Now we're in this. The second iteration was the secondary is really good. The pass rush was very good too, right? That was like the complete defense 2-ish years ago. This year, we're trying to get back to that. So I think it's the pass rush needs to get better. Last year, both really took a step back. The pass rush wasn't great, and the defense and the secondary wasn't as good as it could have been and has been in the past. This year, I think both spots, the coverage and the pass rush, are taking steps to get better. So that's the next step, at least for me, is to see improvement in the pass coverage of both Noah Williams and Christian Fulton impacting what Trent McDuffie can do. And then hopefully those safeties are just kind of better and more athletic than what we've seen in the past as well. And the pass rush gets better. So I think that's kind of the workaround answer, if that makes any sense to you. Appreciate you, Maestro. All right, here's a real question from Kevin. Will the Chiefs chuck the ball deep this year? If we could hit some bombs, wouldn't it open up the offense? It absolutely would. I realistically think they're going to hit more this year. The problem is, and you're going to find it on Wednesday's film review, is that it's going to be about the connection of the quarterback and the deep ball players. Like a couple of times, Patrick hit these guys in stride, and they had some good plays, but it wasn't very good. And honestly, the Chiefs have mapped their offense to be more of a short passing game the past couple of seasons. Honestly, the past 3 years. There were some deep balls, but it's been yards after catch, yards after catch, yards after catch. That's what it's been. I know they want to throw the football deep, but at the end of the day, Andy Reid is still very against doing it against too high safeties. And that does change the dynamic of what you can do, what can be explosive. And if you're unwilling to throw the ball down the seam to some of these guys like Rashee Rice, to Noah Gray, maybe Travis Kelce every now and then, a Juju Smith-Schuster, you really do limit what you can do downfield. So, and honestly, there was a lot of times where even against too high shells, these guys were open downfield and Xavier Worthy. So it's an interesting dynamic, but I do think they're going to try to get back to it this year, specifically because Xavier Worthy is not a rookie. I think that's a big talking point. Again, go back to him saying last year was a lot about learning what Patrick, what he likes, what he doesn't like, what he wants me to be, where I need to be, things like that, learning the playbook at the same time. So this year, we'll play faster. They missed a couple of deep hookups where he's wide open multiple times. Honestly, it happened nearly twice a game where he's just wide open downfield and the ball never gets let go. So just as much as I hate it, you got to be patient, man. You got to be patient. Oh, it sucks, but you got to be patient. Yes. Funny you mentioned this. I'm going to be doing my very first full brisket this coming weekend. I've never done a full one before, and that's part of the reason I don't think I've ever gotten it right is because I tried to shortcut, right? Try to shortcut it to 7 hours maybe. And just do a flat, but that's we're doing the whole shebang this weekend night. So anything you want to, any tips you want to give me, you let me know. I'll appreciate it. All right, Bradley, here we go. I saw this weekend about the Steelers signing Aaron Rodgers, and do you think that they're a threat to us in the AFC? My opinion is no, and I do think top 6 or 7 way their organization is built. Agree or disagree? So the Steelers signing Aaron Rodgers doesn't move the needle at all for me. I think that they're still the exact same team they were. Aaron Rodgers is a waste of space. Everything, including the way he functions off the field, and I don't understand why Mike Tomlin is putting more headaches in his locker room after he got rid of one. Doesn't make any sense to me. So no, I don't think that they're a threat at all. I still love Mike Tomlin. I think Mike Tomlin's a fantastic coach, but at the end of the day, this whole regime needs a reset, and that's the only way they're going to move forward in my mind. All right, Knight, if the line holds up, what kind of year do you think PM15 will have? So I think realistically, I don't think we're seeing back to the 5,050 touchdowns ever again. I don't think that's going to happen. Just not the way defenses are going to allow it to happen. But I do think that 4,700 yards is more than realistic, and then around 40 touchdowns if they have an offensive line that plays well. I would say even mediocre, a mediocre offensive line, you can get to those numbers. Like that's what I want to see, and I do think that he can get to those numbers, and again, be an MVP in the league. I'll just put this up here, Steven, but no, not even a little bit. They are not a threat in the slightest. Would you change Mel Blunt rule a little bit to let cornerbacks have freedom? And I plus would change roughing the passer rule and kickoffs change old back style. So the kickoff stuff they're trying to reinvent a little bit right now to create the kickoff returns again. So we'll see about that. Roughing the passer obviously is something that I would much prefer to see go back because it's changed the way how everyone plays. We've seen you really can't touch quarterbacks. You can't go low. You can't accidentally slap their helmets. It all gets called roughing. So, yeah, I understand the Mel Blunt stuff. I understand it's a dangerous game already. It makes it more difficult for corners. Obviously, if you see a receiver coming across the field, you can't just go mollywop them when the ball's coming. Like you'd love to be able to do that, but I understand the safety of it. This one is a rule that I agree with on the safety part. The rest of them, yeah, I don't really get with. Michael, Chargers or Broncos compete for more of a wild card. I think the Broncos are the second. Honestly, I'll say this right now, you guys. I've been saying it for a while now. If the Chiefs were to take a step back at all this year, which I don't think is going to happen, but I think the Broncos would be the team that knock off the Chiefs in the AFC West and not the Chargers. So the way I see it now is the Broncos are the second better team in the AFC West, and they would be the ones more for wild card. But I wouldn't be shocked if both of them were in it as a wild card team again this year. What's up? Oh, thank you. Mwah. Good night, sweetie.
Night.
Oh, no. Good night, polar bear.
Good night, stubber bear.
Wow, that's rude.
Stubber hair. Okay.
Falcon. Hi, Dan. Do you think Veach still makes a move in free agency? If so, what positions are there, if any, free agency is still out there who fit the Chiefs? So, we saw from Bradley earlier, both Jermaine Pratt and Jair Alexander are now free agents. Again, I don't think either of them will make it. The only player that I would have brought in was Nick Chubb. I think the Chiefs might regret not bringing in Nick Chubb, specifically at a contract up to $5 million. Like I don't know, man. I would have loved to see him in Kansas City. Like that would have been a lot of fun. So I think that they're pretty much done adding free agency unless you see an injury happen. If you see one of those, then I think you'll see someone. But at this time, I don't really think there's anything in the fire. So I think that they're pretty much done. Appreciate that. How confident are you in Caliendo if he plays next to a good left tackle? I'm not. I think he's the fourth best guard option. I'd play Chris Hansen over Caliendo. There's no upside with him. He's just not a good football player. I'm sorry. I'll never think so. I'll never think he's good. PM chasing a ghost better for him in the long run than a single true live event competitor. Current competitor. I mean, I think that Patrick does a really great job against in-game competitors too. I think he's been fantastic against Josh Allen, against Lamar Jackson. But again, it's not playing against those guys. He's playing against defenses. So, and plus, I mean, the game is filled with young, great quarterbacks. But he reigns supreme among all of them, no matter what, because of not just the Super Bowl appearances, but because of that. And I think that Patrick, unfortunately, because he lost Tom Brady in the two playoff games that they played in, it's going to be something he'll never achieve on his own. So even if he gets all the numbers, even if he gets the Super Bowls, it's probably never going to be fulfilled for him because he never won a playoff game against Tom Brady. And that's going to be the determining factor for a lot of people, is that they'll say, even if the numbers are the same, well, Tom Brady's better because he beat him both times. As we realize that's not how things really work. The more and more we get with information, the more film we have access to, the more that we grow as football fans, the more we realize that it's never quarterback against quarterback. It never has been, and it never can be. All that matters is what you show on the big stage. And I think Patrick has done just as much at this point in his career than actually, never mind. He's been better than Tom was in his career to this point in terms of numbers, statistics, wins in the playoff, everything like that. Like he's had to do more because the Chiefs didn't care about him for the most part in terms of defense in the first couple of years until they brought in Spags, and then he was still learning there. So there's a lot. There's just a lot. Dan, I tune in mostly because you and Ryan not only state your minds, but also break down what you see and explain it in terms we understand. That's honestly, that's the only thing that I want. That is the only thing I want. I want to be myself, and I want to help people understand the game of football in just a digestible way, in a way we can all appreciate and understand. If I can do that, I'm happy, guys. So the fact that you say that, and that's not the first, you're not the first person that said that to me. It's great. I really do appreciate that. Oh, where did that go? I just saw something and I lost it. Never mind. That's fine. A couple more questions here we've got lined up. Yeah, that's not surprising. I know. I gotta do it right. I gotta do it right. We'll do it right this time, I promise. Doug, nice to see you, man. All right. Dan the man, whose jersey will you get if they make the 53 this year? All right. I do this every year, and unfortunately, no one has actually done it. Like, no one's gotten on the roster for me to buy the jersey of, but let's see. All right, we'll do it because I have so much faith in it. If Jake Brenningstool makes the roster, I'll buy his jersey. We'll do it. We'll go Jake Brenningstool. I have so much confidence in him making the roster that if he doesn't, I'll just be mad at the whole thing. And I'm getting a glare from my wife about buying a jersey. So what? I have to do it as part of this. I haven't had to do it yet. Everyone that I said has made the roster hasn't done it. So there it is, Doug. Brett, nice to see you, man. Thank you for the question. How does Jalen Moore look so far? He hasn't played. He's been hurt. I think Simmons is 2026 and beyond, but I expect more to be the answer at left tackle this coming year. Unfortunately, he's not been practicing because he's been hurt, and that's another reason why they've put Joshua Simmons out there right away. So I don't have an answer for you, unfortunately. He's been having if I'm not mistaken, it's the same leg that he hurt last year. But he's been wearing one of the sleeves and he's been not practicing. So I'm a little worried about that as well. But at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. Hopefully it's just a precaution, which I do think it is. Kirk, nice to see you, man. Do you think the Chiefs will run 2 running back formations with Smith out wide and Kareem Hunt in the backfield of pass blocking? Oh, I hope so. I love to see some pony personnel. It's one of the things that I mentioned when they drafted him, It's something you can easily exploit. You get him in the slot, he's going to be a mismatch for most of the players he's going up against. You guys think back to when the Packers put Aaron Jones out wide against Anthony Hitchens. It's a mismatch. It's a mismatch. You can identify it immediately. So yeah, I hope so. I really do hope they do that, Kirk. Listen to us, Andy. Swag boy, do you think Noah Gray has a breakout year? I think last year was his breakout year. I think he'll be around the same type of player as he was last year, Swag. So, I mean, I would love to see more from Noah, but I think that he is what he is. I think that that's a perfectly good number 2. And I still, no offense to Noah, but I want Jake Brenningstool to be better. I have my own biases, people. We're all human. Optimistic noodle. Nice. I love that. I love the username. Chris Conley Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, no. Chris, great player, great person, and I'm happy to see him leave on his own terms. After 10 years, go retire. He's got a Super Bowl under his belt. You love to see that kind of stuff for guys like that. Wait, no, he doesn't have a Super Bowl, does he? I might have shortchanged him. But either way, Chris Conley is a fantastic person, but he's just just a guy for Kansas City. So no, I don't believe so. We are going to be in Ohio at the end of July, or first week of August is when we'll be there. It's coming quick. It's coming quick. Michael, is there a P run out there? Worst case if Pop and Kareem are going down. I guess that's real quickly if my computer will allow it. Well, we're having some connection issues. All right, there we go. See what we got. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Oh, you're not, Doug. We're good. All right, that's not what I want. I want running back. Yeah. But can we just that are available? Thank you. Third down possibilities. Oof. I guess Naheem Hines. Jermichael Hasty. It's not looking good. Let's just say that. The Chiefs are pretty much stuck with running back if they didn't bring in Nick Chubb. So, whew. Gary, nice to see you, man. One of our oldest and most loyal members, one of our moderators here as well. Dan, will the Chiefs try to sign Cleveland Browns right tackle Travis Hunter? I don't know. Tackle available. You mean Jedrick Wills or Tyrone Smith? Because Jedrick Wills was the guy that the Browns had last year, and they also had Jaron Christian, who was a former Chief, Jermaine Ifedi as well. But I think you're talking about Jedrick Wills, and no, they will not be bringing in a right tackle. They've got the tackles that they've got, Gary, and they're good to go right now, unless you have an injury. So I don't think so. Appreciate you, man. Alex, did the Chiefs make the league change the rules when we injured Tom Brady? Low hit to the knees. I don't think that was immediately there for them. I don't think it was immediately following that hit. Granted, I haven't looked up the history of that injury and the history of the changes after that, but it wouldn't shock me if it was that, because there have been quite a few changes for another quarterback, this one in New York, Buffalo, who, seems to get some preferential treatment from these guys after he loses in the playoffs to Patrick Mahomes. So that's interesting. It's always interesting. And that's, again, right there, another one from you. All right, last call here for questions, and we will get through all of them before the night is over. All right. Napoleon, I'm still worried about the run stoppers at defensive tackle. Will the Chiefs be longer for defensive tackles at cut down? Again, they have a couple of guys on the roster that might be able to step up. We know Mike Pennell is going to be that for them this year because they don't have another choice. But Fabian Levitt will have an option, will have the opportunity to do so. And I still think Omar Norman-Lott can be a run stopper. He wasn't really given the opportunity to do so in Tennessee. They used him for pass rush almost exclusively. So it's hard for me to say that they're going to be just kind of holding out for guys to get cut. But at the end of the day, if no one shows anything, they're going to kind of have to see what happens and see what's on the market, because it's not a good situation to be in that bucket with them. Alex, how do you think the fit between Rodgers and the Steelers will be? Does Rodgers have a great season left in him? I don't think he has a great 5 games left in him. I think he's an average quarterback now. The talent obviously is there, but he's just not the guy he was. I think that it's a fine fit. Their wide receivers are okay. DK Metcalf is not the kind of guy he usually meshes with. So we'll see who he favors. But at the end of the day, like it's It's Aaron Rodgers in a mediocre season with the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are going to win 9 to 10 games, eke their way into the postseason, and lose in the first round. Like that's which is what's going to happen if he stays healthy. Oh, yeah. You know, if I could explain that one, then we'd have a lot less problems with people telling us that the NFL is rigged. You know, that if I could actually do that. But unfortunately, I don't have the answers to that specific question, Alex. If I ever find anything about this, though, you will be the first that I tell. So I do appreciate you bringing it to my attention. Darkness Falls, thank you for your support here. Tyrann Mathieu returns. What are your thoughts? I mean, if Tyrann could play free safety, I'd be all for it. But I think that we understand exactly what Tyrann was best at and what he would be in Kansas City. It would still be the Jaden Hicks role, the Justin Reed role, and that's where they currently have too many bodies to be able to handle. I would love to see him back in Kansas City, but at the end of the day, I just don't think it's realistic as much as I'd love it, man. But I very much appreciate the support. Thank you very much. Michael, what will Jake Brindstole bring to the tight end room that's different from all the others? It's different because he's a better route runner than anyone not named Travis Kelce. He's better. He's got better ball skills. He can do all of the things that you want a tight end to do from a pass catching standpoint. He's going to have to get better at run blocking. But I think that we can comparatively say from him to Noah Gray perspective that Noah Gray wasn't a world-beating blocker when he came out of Duke. The only thing really he had going for him was his hands. And I think Jake Brindstole has very good hands. He's a better route runner. He understands zone coverage. That's the key here for me, is that he's a very good zone-beating tight end already. I don't know why he wasn't drafted, but we'll find out if he makes the roster, what the Chiefs think of him. But that's the big thing for me, is that he's already a very good route runner in my mind. All right, this will be the last. Oh, we got another one here. All right, I got two more here. Bradley, what comes to the Bengals? They are a hot mess, losing on defense right now, and even this organizational dysfunction, and they're not close to us as a threat to the Chiefs. I mean, we'll find out. I do think that they're going to be a good team. Their defense isn't good, but we have to see what the changes the new DC are going to make to withstand. Sometimes, like, go back to the Chargers last year. They didn't have the best talent in the world. They had a couple of good players, but they collectively didn't have a good talent group that made a lot of sense. They had to play a lot of young guys. Jesse Minter made them better. We're going to find out more about the defensive coordinator in Cincinnati this year, if he can collectively make them better. But they did draft some good players. I think that Knight, the linebacker who's going to take over for Jermaine, the linebacker that they just let go, and Jermaine Pratt is a good player. Is it Demetrius Knight, out of South Carolina. But we're going to find out a little bit about them. But at the end of the day, Joe Burrow and the offense are what they're investing in, and that's going to be what takes them to the playoffs, or what keeps them from being able to bring their defense anywhere else. Last one here from Lee. Why isn't there more talked about the last winners in MLB, NBA, and NFL spent the most money? The Celtics and Eagles especially did that. So I think that through the lens of what we typically know about teams, obviously MLB has a luxury tax, but who cares? If owners are willing to pay the luxury tax, they just spend. And I just throw the MLB out of every conversation because they don't matter, in my opinion, in terms of money. We all know that that's a little bit different, but the NBA, NFL, they have caps. NHL as well, they have caps. But for NBA and NFL specifically, you have to get hot too. The Celtics got hot. Like, they also drafted a lot of their young stars. They spent a lot of money, sure, but they drafted a lot of their young stars. The Eagles drafted a lot of their young stars and drafted a lot of their good players. Obviously, the AJ Brown trade, a little bit different, but they collectively, like, the nucleus of their teams were built through the draft. That's why you're not hearing a bunch about the NBA and NFL specifically. MLB is like I said, it's a whole different story, because teams will throw around money and owners don't care about the luxury tax. That's why there should be a cap in MLB. There should be, so we don't have to see this nonsense. But there isn't one. So that's my opinion. I think it's largely because the Celtics and the Eagles, not only did they spend a lot of money, they drafted a lot of their young players, and that's more about what the national media will talk about, not so much about the money that they spent on those two players because they drafted them. So that's my opinion there. Appreciate you guys all spending time with me this evening. Thank you so much. Again, I will have an Xavier Worthy breakdown on Wednesday night. I saw you talking about brisket in there. That's I was just trying to get through some questions. Feel free to hit me up on Blue Sky or Twitter and let me know more about what you were saying so that we can talk a little bit about brisket so I can get that done this weekend for sure. But thank you guys again for joining me this evening. Make sure, if you're new to the channel, please hit the sub button, hit the like on the way out too, guys. It really helps us keep in the algorithm. And when Ryan gets back, show him some love. I'll be happy to have him back too because he didn't have me last week and I don't have him this week. So it'll be nice to get back to when he's back on the show and we can get through this dead space after the OTAs wrap up this week. We'll have that dead space and then training camp hits and it's almost here, guys. Just a little bit longer. Bear with us, please, please, please. And again, thank you guys so much for the support tonight. Have a great evening and be there on Wednesday for the Xavier Worthy film review. I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.